Welcome to the Spent the Rent podcast. I am your host, Patty Rose. My guest today, returning for the second time, is Dusty Bubbles, Dustin Bodeen. Dusty, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me, Patty. Super excited to be here.
Yeah, this is great. So back in March, we had talked about your acupuncture practice. We talked briefly about your music creation, and I thought it would be a good opportunity now that you have a new album coming out to have you back on and kind of get a little more thorough about your music specifically. If anybody hadn't listened to the first episode, I highly recommend. I think it was episode 119 where you came on and talked about your acupuncture practice. It was really informative. I learned a lot from it about it, and I still haven't tried acupuncture, but I'm really eager to one day come and utilize your services. So
you definitely have an invitation.
Yeah, I appreciate it. That was a really cool thing. And so I encourage anybody listening to go back and check that out. Today, we're having you back on. Like I said, we're going to talk about your new album. It drops June 21st, which is just a couple days. The album is called 5 Element, and we're going to talk a lot about that. So it's kind of interesting. Tell me a little bit about the album and the concept and whatnot.
Well, the album 5 Element is an album that is based on acupuncture theory and connection to nature and acupuncture points, which I'm so glad, Patty, that I had this thought when I was almost finished with the project. But about 2 days before I was finished with the project, I thought to myself, man, this is such a bad idea. I can't believe I did this. It's like such a nerdy, like crazy bad idea. But I'm glad I didn't have that thought in the beginning, or I might have stopped. But I think that's what sometimes can make an artistic project or something kind of special and unique, is when it's this idea that seems really outrageous, but then you still put in, the time and the effort and your heart into the project. And, it can come out with some really unique, interesting things. Like, I had no idea I'd ever make an album like this. But what happened was I teach classes based on acupressure. And I was taught this class called the Energetics to Acupressure, and I was teaching this theory. And when I got back from the class, Joey Helpfish, my music coach, had made a beat album for me, because that's how we decided to do our terms, because I've been so busy with my practice and with teaching that I was like, Joey, can you please make some beats for me? And please. And he did, because I never worked on a project before where I didn't produce the music. I've always produced my own music. So it was nice to have someone else do it. It had always been a dream of mine. And so when I got that beat album and I got back from the class, the idea just came to me, and I just never looked back, and I just kept doing it. So
I think it's great. And one of the reasons that I wanted to have you on again about the music part is because we both have much different styles musically, but we have such an acquired taste in our in what we make. And take this as you will. I mean this as a compliment, but it's such a hard thing for people to understand what we're doing, because it's so different and so unique. But what's beautiful about it is the obvious passion, is the obvious joy of the work that we do. And so it's just so different. That's what this whole show, my podcast, especially the musical episodes, has been all about. Now, I've had some really well-received artists from our area too, people that have huge followings in our community. But I really like spotlighting people that don't, that have smaller followings in our community, because they're doing such a unique thing. And that's the whole point of why I did this. So I hope you don't take that weird. Cool. I mean, it's. I think that you're very self-actualized in a way that it's like, no, your music is very unique, and so it's gonna be interesting to see how this album, who it resonates with, and I think that people will definitely see that it's something that you're super passionate about. So we're gonna play a couple songs today, which is gonna be a good treat. Normally, I just play the ending track, but today we decided we're gonna play one in the middle, then we'll come back and we'll talk about it. So that'll be good. One of the things you had mentioned to me before, kind of organizing for this episode, was the art of contemplation. Tell me what that means.
So I was fly fishing yesterday, and I started thinking about, what would I want to talk about with you today, Patty, in terms of this album and, what it's really about for me. And many years ago, I started studying the art of contemplation. And you're like, well, how can you study the art of contemplation? I thought contemplation is just about thinking about things. But no, there's a lot of literature out there, and it's about learning how to reflect upon certain ideas, and then being able to make them your own and have breakthroughs. So, I do this for a living. I practice, Chinese medicine, and, a lot of these texts that describe this medicine clinically, they're very, very old. They're like 2,500 to 5,000 years old. And so when you learn this kind of medicine, it's really not about memorizing information. It's more about learning how to think, learning how to reflect, and then learning how to then make it your own. Because when we learn how to make things our own, I think we embody them more fully. And then when they come out, kind of like what you were saying earlier, maybe that's where you really feel that passion and that uniqueness, is because I've thought about these songs and I've thought about these concepts and the things that I'm saying for a really long time. It's not like I just got an idea and wrote it down. It's like, these acupuncture points that these songs are about. Like, I've been thinking about these points for over 7 years. And now to finally make them into a song, it kind of gives them a different, you use the music of language to kind of express what's inside of you. So, that's, to me, the art of contemplation is learning how to use your body, use playfulness. It's not just logical, but like, ask yourself a question, something, if it was a music one, is like, so, what would be, what is the, why do I like hip hop? What is hip hop? How do I contemplate that? And how do I feel it in my body? Yeah. So to me, that's how I use, thinking and reflection as a way to then make art and make it a creative practice.
Now, so you had mentioned, you translated the 5 elements. That's a style of acupuncture, correct? Now, for the people that haven't listened to the first episode, explain to me what 5 elements are.
Yeah, so 5 element is a style of acupuncture where we're not looking at pathology or symptoms. They come up when we're in the clinic, but we're actually looking more at, we come from nature. And so we come from the same place. So there's fire, there's earth, there's mineral, there's water, and there's wood and plants and flora. So those are the 5. And each of them have different organ systems. And then each of them also have different personality traits. So a lung mineral person is like very connected to breath. They're very connected to feeling inspired, acceptance. They have good boundaries. And the mineral element is like the mountains. And if you think of a mountain, a lot of people would go to the top of mountain peaks to get inspired. So these are people that, generally feel like they have a connection to something bigger than themselves. So you're using archetypal ways of looking at nature and looking at people, and then applying acupuncture points that help like strengthen that organ in that person. So if they're already an inspired person and you do lung points, they might even become more inspired, and that might help their breathing and then help other physical symptoms go away as well. Right.
Now you said that this was that you look back and reflect on this idea, and you think, I don't know the words you used, if it was a dumb idea or whatever, in your words. Yeah. Do you find now that there is an easy connection creatively between acupuncture and music? Did it go hand in hand, or was it a little bit of a challenge?
No, they definitely go hand in hand. I almost feel like I was cheating in some way, because it was it's like to have an object to contemplate and then have it inspire and then write down. So, like in that case, my object was an acupuncture point. So I would go through books and different places where I do my Chinese medicine research, and I'd research and then write things down. And then I would hold the point and think about it, and then let the words come to me, and then start writing things down and make it my own.
Now, I want to talk about the creative process a lot. So let's talk about it a little bit. We'll play the song, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about it a little more. So you had mentioned to me that you did this in a much different method and a much different technique than in the past. Explain that to me.
Yeah. So, when that story I was telling earlier, when I received these beats and I started listening to them, and I started to think about an acupuncture point, I just started to write down every single time I would listen to a beat. I'd write down the acupuncture point it reminded me of. And then in my next process, I started to write choruses. So instead of finishing one song at a time, I did what's called batching. So I wrote the chorus for all eight tracks, and then I recorded it. And then I went and wrote the first verse for all 8 tracks, and then recorded. So each step along the way I did as a batch. So I did it all at once. So it was kind of weird to not finish an entire song, to like start a song and then come back and not write the last verse for the song until like 3 or 4 weeks or 5 weeks later. I had to like get back into that groove or that feeling of that song to finish it. But I also like thought it was a really like good way for my brain, because it was kind of like just simplified things. It was like one thing at a time. Like I just got to think about good hooks right now, or I just got to like finish the story for the second verse. So I actually thought it was a really cool way to do a project.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. And it also, I'm sure especially for like the second verses, you know, you also process stuff over a different period of time where you're like, wow, you like kind of think back and probably listen to them too, you know, during that 2 or 3 week span, you know, you'll go back and kind of listen to it and reflect. That's the cool thing about the style of music. Like with hip hop, a lot of times you're creating it in the studio. You're creating it. You're not writing it, you know, with just a guitar and you sitting on the couch or whatever. You're writing it as you're recording it sometimes, you know, so there's that technique as well. That's what I do a lot. You know, a lot of times with the space bar, sometimes people's verses are written one line at a time and they're recording it one line at a time. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know if a lot of people that don't make music understand how that whole process works. You know, there's the magic of creation where people don't really, they don't grasp exactly how it works. There's some tricks and there's some secrets that are cheats, you know, and cheat codes and whatnot. So let's go ahead and play the single. Greater Mountain Stream is the title. You had asked me to play this one because you said it was, in your words, your favorite track on the album. And so that's pretty cool. So let's go ahead and play that. We'll come back and we'll talk about it.
Great mountain stream, kidney 3, showing me the wisdom of water, the wisdom of flow.
Gateway to epiphanies, equanimity in the face of fear. Cleanse my mind, do these mountains look scared? They bring me inspiration closer to the divine. Gateway to epiphanies, equanimity in the face of fear. Cleanse my mind, do these mountains look scared? They bring me inspiration closer to the divine. Gateway to epiphany, self-sympathy, stillness in my mind so instantly. My essence since infancy has been empathy for the river of one. We're getting closer to the sun, closer to the light where we can feel it all. The top of mountain peaks is where we hear the call of virtue, not meant to hurt you. Take you through the valley before the finale. Sitting quiet in my cave, just being in the void. Nothing but silence, hear nothing but my breath. So I take a pause and then I feel it again. Deep into my essence I start to go. Behind the Dantian is where I feel the Ming Men. My destiny is growing and I feel it in the wind. Gateway to epiphanies, equanimity in the face of fear. Cleanse my mind, do these mountains look scared? They bring me inspiration closer to the divine. Gateway to epiphanies, equanimity in the face of fear. Cleanse my mind, do these mountains look scared? They bring me inspiration closer to the divine. Gateway to epiphany, self-sympathy for all the fear I have inside of me. Greater mountain stream is my original chi. Swimming in these waters I feel my will increase. We're flowing with the Tao where we can feel it all. Present moment magic controlled by the earth. I feel my concentration and my memory strengthen. These kidneys store my jing while my spleen likes to sing. Sitting quiet in the dark, just being in the void. I hear nothing but silence, hear nothing but my breath. So I take a pause and then I feel it again. Deep into my essence I start to go. Behind the Dantian is where I feel the Ming Men. My destiny is growing and I feel it in the wind. Gateway to epiphanies, equanimity in the face of fear. Cleanse my mind, do these mountains look scared? They bring me inspiration closer to the divine. Gateway to epiphanies, equanimity in the face of fear. Cleanse my mind, do these mountains look scared? They bring me inspiration closer to the divine.
Yeah, so this last verse is completely a freestyle.
Kidney 3, Taiji, Great Mountain Stream, my doorway to Epiphany.
And I really like talking sometimes in my hip hop.
Showing me the true definition.
That's underutilized for sure.
My feminine will. Building foundation, building trust.
There's no backups on this one.
Myself every moment that I get. Even in movement, that's where I wanna be. Where I'm connected, deep into my breath. And I'm living my virtue, and I know how to see.
The Spent the Rent podcast is sponsored by Oregon
Cool sound
Cash Flow
effect.
Pro, featuring Wealth Care Wednesdays, the live stream, a Q&A on all things finance. Go to OregonCashFlowPro.com to find out more. More wealth, less debt, fast at Oregon Cash Flow Pro. That's how I pay the bills. And so, yeah, that's cool. And I know what you were talking about when you're talking about kind of talking. And I don't know what it is. I've had some things that I've written like that. And then when I go to record it, I forget. And I don't know, like I don't do it. Like, and there's been a couple times where I'm just like, oh my gosh, I had this whole thing. And that's one of the things I like about what I had talked about before I pushed play was about recording in the studio is that sometimes when you create a melody or you create something, you're singing it and it's just resonating with you, but it doesn't stick and you lose it. A lot of times if it's good enough, it'll always stay. It'll always be there. But
Yeah.
sometimes you lose it and it's rough. So yeah, you talked about the batch recording technique. When you're making these songs, how much do you listen to them? Is it something that I mean, I guess everyone is a little different. Sometimes it'll take an afternoon to write and record something. Sometimes it takes a couple days. But yeah, what does that time frame look like?
I mean, I listen to them a lot.
Yeah.
When I get going. Yeah, I do. Because, I think listening them to a lot really helps the backup process too. Like on this album, I recorded a lot of vocal backups. Yeah. And it makes that so much fun because you're not looking at any sheets of paper. You're just fully in it, listening to the music, listening to the song, and you're just doing the backups, straight from feeling instead of like having to read something. So I think for me, listening to that a lot, really helps me embody it and feel it. And I want to, perform these songs live too. And I don't think it's weird to make music, that you like to listen to. Like, I think it's okay if you like your own music. Like you should like your own music.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I know the feeling of the process. That's the whole thing. One of the things I learned a long time ago with music, it's like, you shouldn't really worry about the finished product as much as you should worry about the enjoyment of the process. If you're not, the creative process of making it is what you're actually doing it for. It's the art of the creation. It's not so that when you're done, you have this, you're like, oh, I can move on from that. So a lot of times, I've said it many times on the show, music for me or any type of art creation is therapeutic. Obviously, this is a medicine that you're basing it off of, a medical practice. So yeah, it's therapeutic, and that's the process, not to have some recorded art. You know what I mean? So when I listen back, even if it was painful stuff I had taken it from, then it's a reflection of like, look what I was able to make with it. Took that pain and made something out of it. So that's something I can agree. That's one of the things about your stuff that I can just feel it, knowing you and knowing that and watching you talk about just different stuff on your social media feed. It's pretty clear that you're pretty deep into this stuff.
Yeah, you're so right, Patty, about all that. Like, it changes everything when it's not about the end product and it's just about the process. It changes absolutely everything, because then it's it's just a practice. Yeah. It's like, I'm doing this because this is me practicing. Right. And how do you get good at something? You practice. Right.
Exactly.
So it's like, it's just a different thing. And if I ever don't like doing this, I'll stop.
Yeah. Totally.
To me, I do it because I love it. I mean, it just makes me feel so good. And it actually, motivates me in other areas of my life, because I'm like, how do I set up a structure in my life where I get to do this more, where I have more of this space and time to create, because I think it helps me in all other areas of my life. And it's so fun too, as being a new dad, like playing a song and watching my new little boy, like, nod his head. Like, right. I don't care how many fans I have. Like if I can make my 1-year-old bob his head, like I'm good.
Yeah, it's pretty, and it's pretty. That's a pretty rewarding thing, and I don't know what it is with little kids, but they seem to like that kind of. It's really that tone.
Yeah,
they're into it. They're into it. He grooves with it. So, it's pretty obvious. I wrote this question down, and in hindsight, it's a pretty stupid one. I wrote down, what is the connection to the outdoors in this project? Maybe it's not stupid, and you can elaborate on this.
No.
But the reality is that there's a deep thing. The reason I say it's kind of silly looking back is because it's obvious, because the 5 elements, So,
Yeah.
but I guess that is, explain to me why there is a deep connection to the outdoors in this project.
It's not as obvious, Patty, because it wasn't even as obvious to me. I went camping 5 weeks ago or so with some guys, and I had the album with me, and I finished it, and I listened to it like laying on my back in the tent, looking up at trees. And I was like, this isn't just Chinese medicine hip hop or conscious hip hop or any of those things. This is also nature hip hop. Like this is what has inspired me my 20s into my 30s. Is I spend a lot of time outdoors. I go camping a lot. I go hiking a lot. Even my mentor, who's been practicing the style that I practice for 46 years, he told me, he said, Dusty, don't read another Chinese medicine book. Just be out in nature as much as you can, and you'll learn everything you need to know. So for me, like nature and creativity are my 2 most favorite kinds of medicine. And that is my message that I want to promote to other acupuncturists and other healers, that if you have a creative arts practice that you stopped because you went to med school or you started, becoming a clinician, you got too busy, like pick up that pen again, or pick up the paint again, or start dancing again, whatever it was that made you feel joy. Because I think creativity is as you were speaking about earlier, is a way to grow and to learn, and express yourself and tell your story. Yeah. And I think the more you understand your own personal story, the better medicine practitioner you're going to be, because then you know what you have to offer. And so for me, nature is that place where I go and do that art of contemplation and reflect. And so I think, I'm going to continue to use nature as inspiration when I make music. Yeah,
it's pretty clear on even just the titles of the album, today, Greater Mountain Stream, and we're going to end this with Wilderness Mound, so it's just a lot of stuff about the outdoors. And, that's one of the things about this art form that's interesting, is it's all going to be pretty much recorded indoors, with hip hop. I don't know how many times I've seen people recording next to a lake, doing hip hop music. That would be cool.
I do make beats. I bring all my iPad and everything, and I have made beats around the campfire, and I've made beats on a hike. I've made beats by the river.
Yeah, and that's so 2021. I
know,
to take an iPad on a camp out or whatnot, and this is something Joey Helpish is all about. Joey Helpish, who's your music coach, he's been a guest multiple times on the show. We talked about it all last episode. He encourages people to simplify the creation so that it's like just make something terrible today is what he always talks about. Just do it. Just make something, and don't worry about if it's amazing. Just do it so that you can have a finished product. And then you're on to the next one, and you can kind of improve, as like you had said before, it's practice, and I think that's really cool. And yeah, you can do that nowadays with an iPad as opposed to maybe an acoustic guitar, at a camp out at a campfire and stuff. And
I have it all. I bring my guitar too. I have it all, but I spend a lot of time on the iPad, just using it as a keyboard and making little melodies.
That's pretty cool. Now, okay, so what's next for you creatively? Do you already have something planned, or is that something that'll just kind of come to you?
I kind of have some things planned. Yeah. I'm in the process right now of writing a lot of hooks, and again, it's all related to nature. So, it's summertime right now. And the element of summer is fire. And so I've been writing a lot of songs based on fire and the fire element. And, that's a lot about communication, joy, leadership, dancing. Summer is when everything's in bloom. So it's kind of, like highest potential, bright, shiny, all that kind of thing. So I don't know where I'm going with this, but I think the next album is going to be based on fire. And then I'm going to keep working with the elements, because for me, it's about synthesizing my life. And so the more I make music based on what my life's work is, which was my life's work is, practicing this medicine and helping people, the more I feel like I stay grounded in what I'm doing.
Yeah. I think something that you could entertain at some point, I think it would be really cool for you to make a children's album because how much you talk about your son. And I think that, I think it'd be really cool to do something that is like, about kids loving themselves, that kind of stuff. Yeah. I could see something like that would be good, but yeah, the acupuncture work is it's really interesting to see it come into creation. So, if anybody hasn't listened to the old episode, let's talk briefly. We'll do this the flip of what we did last time. Last time we talked barely about music and a lot about acupuncture, but this is an opportunity for us to talk about your practice, where it's at, how people can find you. If you're interested in getting acupuncture, talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Thanks, Patty. Yeah. I practice at Alive Integrative Medicine, and it's in Eugene. It's on 19th and Jefferson. And you can go to the website aliveintegrative.com or just type in Alive Integrative Medicine if you're around Eugene. And I'm practicing there. I practice 5 days a week, and I do acupuncture and body work. And my main focus is to help people who feel like they have some kind of inner conflict, or they're stuck, or they've been through some trauma, or they have chronic pain, because a lot of times chronic pain is often connected, to what we've experienced in life. And so acupuncture has this really cool way of helping move energy so people feel less pain and more themselves.
Yeah. So I put in the show notes, anywhere you're watching or listening to this podcast, there's going to be the link to your practice and your phone number, email, all that good stuff, where people can get a hold of you if they're interested. You had told me, and obviously you can't tell me names because there's HIPAA laws, which you actually understand, unlike most people. That's a different issue. No, but you had told me that, after doing the last episode that through word of mouth or whatnot, that you had gotten a patient. So that's really cool that someone had
multiple patients, actually, Patty. I didn't tell you about all of them. Yeah.
So the community of the podcast people is working, and that's cool. I love that when I started the show, there's no way that I would have thought that this was what I'd be talking about. There's no way that I would have known that. and it's not even the type of music necessarily that I get too into, but I don't care about that. It's about sharing stories of the underrepresented. I think you fit perfectly. You're one of the most positive thinking people I've ever met. So that's, I don't trust it. I'm just kidding. No, I definitely do. I'll
keep working to earn your trust, Patty.
No. I trust you. I don't trust people that aren't angry. No, we talked.
No, I get angry. We
talked about this. Yeah.
So last time you gave me a haircut, I told you.
We're becoming friends all the time. Yeah, behind the scenes, and I've cut your hair a few times, and I get to see the real Dustin Bodeen, and then you get to create this character of Dusty Bubbles. That's the beauty of it, is that with art and creation, especially music, is that you do get to create this persona, and let's talk on that before we get out of here.
Yeah.
If you had to explain to someone who Dusty Bubbles is that is that different than Dustin Bodeen?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah. Dusty Bubbles was a name that was given to me when I was 18 years old at the Oregon Country Fair.
Yeah.
And I think that's when Dusty Bubbles was created, where, this clown energy came through, and it's a clown of delight, where, I'm excited and I take delight in everything, and I smile at strangers and I goof around a lot. And I'm really about, what's important in life, which to me is, connection, relationship, and having a good time. Yeah. And so that's what I'm about. And, I'm also about, just understanding. So Dusty Bubbles is like, hey, I'm here and I want to play, and I'll talk about some serious shit too, if we have to. And, life is meant to be delighted in.
I think that's cool. I think that it's true that there's personas in art. And for me, if anybody's started listening to the podcast early on, they'll know that I used to go by the name Self-Esteem But Willie in my music. And it was a complete character. And it was something that I hid behind. It was someone that was bitter and all that stuff. And I think with Dusty Bubbles, it's obvious that it reminds you to be cheery, positive, happy, forward thinking, that kind of stuff. Self-Esteem But Willie was something that was from my past that it had an edge, and I had to shed that. And that's why I kind of transitioned into using the name Patty Rose. Rose is my mom's last name, and so it's a way to honor her as well, and then also celebrate my Irish heritage. But Patty Rose is who I am. at this point, you know, because
Yeah.
it's basically who I've been able to become at all times. So it's a nickname and all that kind of stuff. But it's interesting to hear what people have to say. I think Joey Helpish and his transformation from the early days of his music creation under the name Uncle Nancy is a prime example where he has this alter ego, and it's pretty cool to actually get to pick someone's brain and to hear them say that stuff honestly and self-actualized is really interesting, you know. So because there's a lot of people don't understand the difference between the artist and the man or woman themselves, you know. So
Yeah.
well, Dusty Bubbles, it's a true honor. The album 5 Element drops June 21st on all streaming platforms. You know, so for anybody, you can go to do you have a website where they can pre-save it, or can they just go to Spotify?
Yeah, go to Spotify and pre-save it. Yeah, it's gonna be on Spotify, you know, Google Play, you know, Apple, all the platforms. You can go to my YouTube channel too, under Dusty Bodeen. I have a lot of educational material on there, and it'll be on there as well.
Yeah, the link to your YouTube channel is in the show notes, and I definitely encourage people to go and listen to some of the things where you're just kind of talking about just self-reflection and just life itself. It's pretty cool. The stuff that you do, it's very calming. And so, yeah, there's a lot of links for people to click on in the show notes of this episode. Don't forget to check out the album as it drops June 21st. We are going to end it in this episode with another track. So, Dusty, thank you so much for chatting with me today. I look forward to continuing to build our friendship behind the scenes. And so, we're going to end this with a song. This is Dusty Bubbles with Wilderness Mound.
Thank you, Patty.
Give me order, give me purpose, let my elements grow, my elements grow. Give me order, give me purpose, let my elements grow, my elements grow. Give me order, give me purpose, let my elements grow, my elements grow. Give me order, give me purpose, let my elements grow, my elements grow. I wanna feel at home in my vision, just and exact. Be at peace with my decisions, in my heart without division. I listen to the trees, teach me how to be. I am down on my knees, asking wilderness please. Show me a sign, teach me a lesson. Give me upright presence and a strong direction and a strong connection to what I'm supposed to do and where I'm supposed to go. I don't even know, but I'm here and now. Give me order, give me purpose, let my elements grow, my elements grow. Give me order, give me purpose, let my elements grow, my elements grow. Give me order, give me purpose, let my elements grow, my elements grow. Give me order, give me purpose, let my elements grow, my elements grow. I want to feel at home in my flesh, with hope and courage. Be at peace with my decisions, in my heart without division. And so I listen to these trees, they teach me how to be, standing tall in my beliefs. Wilderness Mound, I hear a new message, and I hear a new plan. I feel a strong connection and a strong direction to what I'm supposed to do and where I'm supposed to go. It feels so good to know, and I feel this inner growth at home in my dreams. Give me order, give me purpose, let my elements grow, my elements grow. Give me order, give me purpose, let my elements grow, my elements grow. Give me order, give me purpose, let my elements grow,